Alrighty guys, how's it going? Lockhart here, just continuing to make content for War of the Visions. I'm doing a little bit of a spin on, I feel like, what everybody else does. For me, I always like it when everybody, with like all the characters have kind of their own identities in terms of fashion, I want to say, and how they segregate each of those unique characters into groups without really just saying that they're together. So you can kind of understand that, like, looking them aesthetically, you can kind of gather that, oh, okay, certain groups of these people belong together based on how they look. I think that makes sense. For me, I have a bit of a fashion background, and that's because I've been kind of dressing people all for most of my life. And Final Fantasy in general has always had some epic fashion. They've had some wonderful, like, real world collabs. I don't know if you guys remember Final Fantasy 13 and Louis Vuitton. That was like pretty cool, and one of the first times I think the world of gaming made a huge breakout into the world of fashion. So it was awesome. The ads there were cool. You should look it up if you have never looked at it before. For me today, in Fashion with the Visions, I'm gonna call this series that, I'm just gonna go through each of the major factions within War of the Visions and kind of talk about what I see and where I feel their inspirations come. I could be completely wrong, or it could already be written somewhere that I don't see, but yeah, let's get into it. So we're gonna start off with the main cast of Leonis, and we're gonna start off with Mont. We're gonna see a huge theme here, and a lot of it is going to do with the color red. A lot of the capes and a lot of the accents are red within Leonis, and that's a huge portion of kind of their identity, because their flag is literally that of the lion. They have a lot of red in the flag as well. You definitely get a big feel for that when we look at the main Leonis cast. So you have Mont here with his classic red cape. You see the big insignia there. It's on the plate in front, and he has a lot of armor as well. I do feel like Leonis in itself carries on a lot of English and UK ancestry, I want to say, because they do have a lot of armor that goes in with, like, things like big capes, some furs as well as that. So it's kind of very classic medieval times vibes. So with Sterne, same thing. We have his cape. It's a little bit darker, obviously the more brooding twin, as you've ever played the game. Still got the insignia here. Don't mind his weapon. You have it on his chest plate. For him, he carries on less armor because he is a faster brother. Technically, he carries his dad sword arm, whatever that means. But you still get a lot of those big, big red colors, even though it's in different shades. And you still have, like, the armor plates here. And for him in particular, he has a lot more room for movement, which is cool. So we're gonna go on to the former king himself. I pronounced this as, like, oldie for the longest time, but it's Elder. Who knows? I think we're going to get a younger version of him at some point in time. Unfortunately, that younger version will use a spear as well. I don't know why they say he has a sword arm when he only uses a spear. But very much the same thing. He uses a spear, so his piece of armor does cover lower than his legs. I feel like a lot of this is due to the fact that spear wielders are usually cavalry type warriors. Big insignia here. Again, lots with the fur. You can see the quilted armor bits here. Again, going back to a bit of that, like, medieval UK era. Lots of English and Irish kind of feels. Big pieces of armor, just to protect him. Again, you could almost say that, like, if he was on horse or chocobo back, he could use this as armor and have his other arm move a lot more freely, so that way he could impale his enemies a lot better. But function wise and fashion wise, it still sticks with the same concept, and they all still very much look like they belong together. Now we're gonna go on to his wife and the mother of Sterne and Mont. With her, this is where it's a lot more of your classic matriarch, and this is where you really get a feel for that, a lot of that English / Irish kind of feel. There's a lot more cloth. It looks like thicker cloth, so it's not very thin. You still have the fur that is kind of neatly woven into more of a shawl. This can probably come off just in case she needs it to warm herself a lot more. She has the headpiece that's kind of, something that women in the time would wear to be a little bit more humbled, and then less, what's the word I'm looking for? Promiscuous, I think is the word I'm looking for. But lots of the same feel. You do have probably a little bit of lace here. You do have like a nice little pattern here. Again, makes a lot of sense. Lots of the red color in this one, and you can kind of see that she's actually quite regal in the way that they post her body here. Now we get into some of the other units that kind of are the soldiers, let's say, and or second tier units that kind of are a part of the Leonis family. And I would obviously like to take a look at Lilith, who is a big portion of the story, and especially a big portion to Mont. Big on the quilt, hair of pure fire. This person definitely, so if everybody else is kind of from the British Empire, this is somebody who's a little bit more closer to those like Irish Viking roots with, the bits of armor. A lot of the quilted fabrics here. The breastplate, very simple, that probably does absolutely nothing. And then the red hair, the scarf that is very confusing. None of this is practical. Lots of room for movement. Lots of room and keeps with the themes. You still have a lot of the red portions bit in there as well. And we're going to go over to Elsorel. Elsorel being the sleepy knight that most of us know. If you've watched the story, you're going to find that it's actually quite hilarious. Trims of red. For her, she has a little bit of white there too, but you can see that it keeps in line with, again, very hard armor heavy, with like the same armor configurations throughout, like the way the leg armors are, the hands to the shoulders where it flares out here, the shoulder plates at the top. Even though she has a lot of room for what is supposed to be movement, I'd imagine, they still keep it the same and similar with how the armor looks, right? So I'm just gonna take a look at this one more time, and we're gonna take a look at Mont very quickly, again, just so that way we can get a good idea. See, so you can kind of see it right here. And same, even like the way the kneecaps are made, you can see that it's almost like these are standard issue. Mont, being the prince, being the weaker, I feel like has more armor, because kind of wearing this amount of armor, it also shows that he is like less experienced in who he is as a warrior. Taking a look over, we can take a look at someone like Sasha, who I thought was like super cool as a unit. Looks super cool as a Dragoon unit too. You can see that like you have a lot of the like what looks like the fins here to create more of that like aerodynamic armor. She has a lot of the black and the red, but you still have a lot of the red in there too. I feel like the head armor piece is like super cool. The back end isn't like a full cape, but it's like a skirt cape. Overall, she looks super cool. It sucks that she's just an SR unit, but that's okay, I think. We have other units that I tagged in because I also have like a lot of units that I, again, are a part of the Leonis faction, but I wouldn't say are really, they came after. They came into Leonis, opposed to the story starting out with them as Leonis units. Because then you have Yerma, who kind of was a wanderer and kind of just joined up with the Stern fan club. If you know, then you know. But then you have someone like Aldira, who is more of like a hidden gem, and she is a part of elite group within the Leonis faction. So you can see that she has these little on the side skirt here. She has like these pointy little dagger things. She's clearly built to be a lot more stealthy, a mage type to be true, because she requires she has less armor. As we know, most mages don't wear armor in any RPG, which almost makes zero sense, because as a casting unit that has low agility to begin with, wouldn't you want those characters to have the most armor? Am I crazy? Like, to think that it makes sense to be a mage and just be tanked up and be able to cast uninterrupted. Anyway. And then you have two other units who are a part of that elite unit. You have Eliza here. Sorry. Again, she's a deeper red. She has the armor on her bow arm. Same with the bottom skirt, with like those little I don't want to call them spikes, but these one, like, her outfit has more of the roses on it, right? Because again, the elite unit has a lot to do with the black rose in the battlefield. That's something you can figure out later on your own. Rafale, again, very much the same. Roses as decoration, still very much with this like little spiky detail here on her cape. This almost looks like feathers, kind of just to make you feel like she's a little bit more of a speedy character. The armor pieces are very similar, but it's still got that deep red. And when we have black robe Helena go into full-on beast mode, you can see that again, a lot of the accents with the roses, and interestingly enough, still lots of accents of red to kind of stick true to being a part of Leonis, right? So where do I think, oh, and the last one, King Mont again. So now we take a look at him. A lot of his armor is a lot more cloth based, right? So before he had that huge breastplate, now it's just on his arms, not even his legs. He has his staff here, which is very deceiving because he does not really cast magic spells. A big old cape with the huge fur lining back here. I won't say what this is in fear of spoilers, but still very much with that quilted armor style beneath for more movement, more speed. And, you know, he's wearing less armor because he's a lot more experienced at this point in the story, which is, again, super cool, I think. So, going through all of these characters and in what they are, we can see that the main color is red. It's a lot more fabrics. When you see it, you can give an idea that there's kind of like a bit of a flannel fabric. And if we maintain that it is kind of more of that British Empire meets, like, you know, Viking-ish theme with how they wear their armors, then you can kind of guess that it's going to be a lot of that red flannel type fabrics if you wanted to dress up in that theme, which I think, again, you know, you wouldn't be too far off from it. So I think that's it for me. That's kind of it, going through what I feel like is their inspirations, where I feel like it comes from, and what I think. I mean, I think it's cool. Overall, I think if we had to put like an entire thing to this, I feel like a lot of the inspiration comes from that medieval times mentality where, like, they still wore a lot of armor and they rode on horseback. I mean, he's not riding on nothing, to be honest, because base slow can't go anywhere fast, no matter what. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if I missed anything. I was going to create a lookbook to kind of show you what real life interpretations would be with this, but I think you can gather that it would be a lot of black and red. So black flannel with red flannel with black pants and rugged looking boots. And you basically got the Leonis look, and you're definitely not messing around. So definitely more of a rugged outfit when it comes to being a part of the Leonis crew. that's kind of it. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. I know that this is mostly a lot of talking and not a whole lot of anything else, but it's because I do love the way the characters look, and this was a big portion of why I continue to stick with the game. If you have any suggestions on what I should do next when it comes to Fashun with the Visions, please let me know. I'd love to talk about it, kind of share my thoughts. And that's it. Thanks, guys, and have yourself a good one.